Okay, thank you, Alda, for this moderating for this nice roundtable, and also thanks for this very interesting peer learning workshop. During the event, I was constantly on the tip of my chair, so that is really great. And perhaps I can agree with Maria that Phase Up might be looked at as an EU macro region with an important cohesive best practice. But the proof is in the pudding. Therewith, probably I will conclude I might conclude with some takeaway messages from the outside in, because I'm, of course, only from the outside over here. First, Victor started off with that to increase coherence is possibly a complex matter. And I agree with that. But possibly I might add, especially in dynamic volatile and unpredictable era. And that is, of course, the case at this moment. Therewith, I understood that the LTP, the long-term perspective, was already more or less finished in December last year. Perhaps we are now being catched up by the developments in the last few months. And when I understood Ursula von der Leyen very well, perhaps we have to move on, accelerate with regard to our energy transition, and perhaps we also have to move up and accelerate with regard to our self efficiency. And that could have, of course, a main impact on the LTP. So perhaps we have to look, I think FACEP might look more specifically to the LTP of what can be done to move up and what can be done to accelerate their program in order to be approved, I thought, what was said the beginning of next year. Secondly, I've looked in the meantime still again to the EU Green Deal, and of course it is about climate mitigation, but also with regard, I think, in interaction with climate adaptation. And there you see that perhaps I'm still wondering if the LTP is consistent with those deals. So there is a net emission of greenhouse gases by 2015. Do we get that with this LTP? The economic growth should be decoupled from resource use. Do we get that with this LTP? And the third one is no persons left and no place left behind. I haven't heard so much this morning, but perhaps there's lots of things in the LTP over there, but I haven't heard so much this morning about that third objective of the European Green Deal. Is really no one left behind, and there's really no place left behind. When I look at the Baltic region, there's lots of different places and lots of variety over there. But perhaps we could more try to link that to the European Green Deal. And the last one is, of course, and it was very apparent also during this workshop, and thank you for that. Of course, the cooperation is not only horizontal between the regions, but also vertical. And Sebastian has stressed that between the macro regional, the national, and the local level. And that was what the last workshop was about, the last roundtable was about. And I've listened very careful, but still I've got the feeling that not all levels are at the same pace, and the same direction, and at the same. So perhaps there's still a little bit work to do, not only in the horizontal cooperation, but also in the vertical cooperation, especially because of that the local governments are most important with regard to climate adaptation, and perhaps the macro regional and the EU level with regard to the climate mitigation. So that is still a way to forward. So that were a little bit from the outside my three little takeaway messages. Again, I thank you very much for this nice peer learning workshop.